You know, like I said, it happens, and hopefully some kids can learn from it, but just don't get caught.
I'm down to dunk.
And I'm down to dunk. I'm down to dunk. This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lindy Waters, and I'm down to dunk. I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kenneth Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
We say this is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Cracklin Oat Bran?
Have you had Cracklin Oat Bran?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's healthy.
You a big oat brand guy?
I'm a big Oat Bran guy.
Okay.
I think I would switch it with Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, eat faster. Don't put as much in the bowl.
Do you have a gallon of milk I can also take home?
You don't have milk at home?
One cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Crunch. Yeah. Cereal is great. Yeah.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
Well, we had an amazing draft. Like the first weekend after the draft, I had many thoughts about it, but I didn't change my label here. I should modify it for next time.
No.
forgot to do it.
That's okay. You can stay loyal to the Buffkin boys. I got to stand just face to face with Kobe Buffkin on Thursday. It was
I saw that.
It was glorious. Disappointed, definitely that Kobe Buffkin's not on the Thunder. Yes, disappointed. Do I understand why he's not? I think I do. And when you think about it, and here's the thing about this player is that we had pronounced his name, and the whole world has pronounced his name one way for so long that it is really tough to change the way that we say his name. But it's Cason is the correct way to say it. And those are his words.
No. I mean, I listen Presti saying Cason, and I will use the French version of it just for the next 2 minutes because I hate it. It's like, I don't know, it's like puking out of my mouth in French. So it's okay, Cason. That is
so Cason Wallace. It just feels weird to say it. We'll call him Wallace. That's an easier way to say. I've been saying it that way for a while. It makes a lot of sense with where the Thunder are at. One thing that Presti said pretty quickly in his availability is that Wallace plays no agenda basketball. And I think that is something that was really important to the Thunder with this draft particularly, because if you look around the roster, some questions that maybe as I've had some time to reflect, some questions that I've been asking myself is how can they take on another really meaningful player in a way that doesn't take anything off the table for anybody else? And I think that's what Cason does, is that he comes in, he's going to come in off the bench. He's going to defend probably a really good primary ball handler. He's going to be able to, I think he's going to be able to shoot it a little bit better than people are expecting. And then I think that he can pass and he can float around. He can play on ball. He can play off ball. He can do so many things. And I think it's really, I expect it to work. I think at a lower level, like maybe he's Alex Caruso,
Yeah.
And I think he's got a ceiling that's higher than that. But if all you get, but if all you get is Caruso, like every team in the league, would like to have a player like that coming off their bench and just coming in and creating chaos defensively, making shots, helping you in transition some. I think that's what he is probably walking in the door. And then I think that he's got a ceiling that's quite a bit higher than that for all the reasons that have been stated previously. 5-star recruit out of high school, played at Kentucky. Kentucky doesn't do a good job of showcasing all the talents that these guys have. You should be very excited about this pick, and it doesn't take anything off the table for anybody else. Like, this is something that is going to help Shea. It's going to help Giddey. It's going to help Chet. It's going to help J-Dub. It's going to help.
It's going to help Lou Dort.
It's going to help.
Hear me out. Like,
yeah.
It's not. I mean, if Lou Dort can be super hyper mega aggressive for 30 minutes, knowing that he can gamble and gamble hard in terms of getting like 5 fouls, 6 fouls, because he knows, hey, if I'm not there, Cason can be there. And also, these create competition for Lou Dort, which usually creates improvement. Like last year, Lou Dort was the only credible defender that you could play on the court in crucial moments of games whenever Kenrich went away. It's Lou Dort or Lou Dort. Mm-hmm. Aaron Wiggins is a good player. Is not the same defender as Lou Dort. He might be a better offensive player on some nights. Mm-hmm. But overall, I mean, Lou has had basically no competition for closing lineups. This year, he'll have. And this will be great for him and for the team. So I really think that, as you mentioned, yes, there will be guys that will suffer from Cason being on the roster. But we are talking about Cason. Okay. Cason. Okay.
This is going to be a struggle for a little while, everybody.
Yeah.
Just join us.
Because I have also to pause after the K. That is something. Cason. Okay. No. I will try. Please correct me if I can't do it right. Anyway, Wallace will take minutes from many guys on the roster, not the primary guys. Yeah. Not necessarily. If he takes away from the primary guys, it means that he's very, very good. And so I'm fine with him taking the entire minutes of Trey Mann, Aaron Wiggins, even Lindy Waters. I mean, these guys are, for now, not consequential. So if you have a guy that can take those minutes, play 18 to 22 minutes as a rookie and just compete, being out there in the second quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, when you go on runs or you try to prevent the other team to go on runs, this is a role that suits him to a T. The reason why we didn't discuss him probably enough, it's because it almost seemed like a pick with a level of upside, which we thought that Presti would pass on it. We didn't realize that the upside was still there, and that he fit what OKC wanted to do to a T. He didn't have great positional length. This is another trait that he doesn't have because he's 6'3", maybe. So for a guard, it's a good size, but not like a great size.
Yeah.
So these he
makes up for size, and this is something that Mark was saying the other day at the presser when we got to do scrums with Presti and Mark, and then the players afterwards, which was great fun. Mark said, "There's a lot more to size than how high their head is."
Yes,
and I was like, I like that. I like the way you said it. I think that that's really good. His wingspan, he's got a long wingspan, and he's just tough as nails. And those kind of guys can guard up. We saw it with like a guy like Tony Allen, years ago. He would guard up. I mean, he would guard Kevin Durant, who was like several inches taller than him, just because of the scrappiness.
Yeah, Iggy was the best defender on KD that the Golden State had. Not Draymond Green, not other guys. He was just in his grills.
Yes. Yeah. Anyways, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, that was just something that Mark said the other day that I was like, oh, I like that. I'm definitely saying that on the pod.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And again, I really think that this is a pick that we can read into this a little bit in terms of, hey, we like what we have. We need to take someone that enhance what we have.
Yeah.
And this is something that Cason, I think.
Cason. Yeah. So there's so much confusion around the pronunciation because one, Presti said it Cason.
Now that is
in the
wrong.
press conference, which is not correct. And then he switched it to Cason. And then Cason told us afterwards that his mom pronounces it Cason. Okay. Or not Cason. Cason. See, I'm
Cason. What are you doing? Like,
No.
you can't confuse me.
I'm confused, everybody. Here's how you have to remember it. If you listen to Down to Dunk and you listen to the Fry Pod, you know that it's Tayshawn's factoid victory, right? Cason, Tayshawn. That's how you remember it. That's how I remember it.
I will say
Okay.
Cason immediately.
No, don't do that. That's just, you know what I mean, though?
Yes.
Cason.
Thank you, Wes, in the chat. I will try to remember it within
Cason.
that
Yeah,
way.
boy. This
Cason.
is a mental exercise. This shows like it's tough to change in life. It's tough to make changes in life sometimes, and you have to really be zeroed in to do it. And this is where we're at right now. No. Hoopsock 69. If someone tells you, here's how my name is pronounced, Hoopsock 69 in the chat says, who cares? Just say Cason like Jason, make him earn the intricacies. No, like if someone says this is how my name is supposed to be said, you should say
Is this the way? Sorry, Andrew. Is this the way you treated Dennis Schröder or not? No,
it's not.
It's not Schroeder. I can tell you that.
But that's completely different.
No, it's a name.
It's completely different.
It's a name that is not.
It'd be like if I called him Denise. Okay. Not doing that. Cason. Okay.
Cason.
Anyways, the more I've like reflected on it, the more I like the pick. I think there was like a little hubbub about him not loving Oklahoma afterwards, which is just flat out not really true. I think people took a bad question and decided that to trash on OKC. Every indication that I get is like he really wanted to be here and is excited to be here and is excited to contribute to this team specifically, which I also think is part of the reason why he's here.
Yeah.
Is that I think that it's not going to be super easy to get guys, because the Thunder could have some really nice picks in next year's draft. And it's hard. I think it's probably, this is just an assumption. I think it's probably pretty hard to get a guy who's drafted in the top 10 to come in and say like, hey, great, welcome to the team. You're the 5th or 6th or 7th best player on the team. Welcome. Where these are lottery picks. These are guys that have been the best guys on their team the whole way through. And just with the weirdness around Bufkin, I just wonder if that was part of his deal. Was that he didn't, and I don't know this. I don't even know if the Thunder would have taken him had he been more willing to maybe be more moldable. But I just kind of am speculating on kind of what happened there, because there were a lot of teams that did have a lot of interest in him. And I just wonder if maybe he wanted a different landing spot. Not that Atlanta is necessarily like a great spot for him. I actually think it's a really bad spot for him.
Hey, he can run the second unit there.
Hey,
from day one.
He can.
Maybe.
It's tough though, because I think that they like to stagger those two guards in Atlanta too. And so it puts
stagger? No, come on. This is not the agenda. He has to come in and just control the ball for, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No, it will be tough. And can we spend like 32 seconds on Grady Dick's dress?
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. that was wow.
It
I
was-
don't know what to say. I mean, probably the dress was enough for me to say, okay, I understand a few things. Like,
I loved it. Loved it even better in person. Got to talk to him. He is goofier than his outfit, and he is a really weird fit for the Raptors. I know he's like just like a shooter, but
Yeah.
also like the Raptors usually don't take guys like that. So I thought that was a little strange. But
yeah,
anyways, I thought it was hilarious. I thought he was hilarious. It's even better seeing him do a Donald Duck impression with that outfit on. It's great. He's goofy as all get out. He's confident. I like it. He made draft night more memorable for himself and for everybody else. So I'm actually way on board with what Grady Dick was doing on draft night. It was great.
yeah. Can we say that number 11 was the weirdest pick of the night?
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know. I'm sure that he can be.
No, you don't have
Cam
to couple
Johnson
him because he went so high. But yeah, go ahead.
No, it can be a Cam Johnson type of deal where you draft a guy that you know he can
Cam
shoot.
defended at North Carolina though.
What?
He defended a
He
lot,
tried to.
but a lot better than Jay.
Yeah. But he was a senior, so he's surely a weird pick.
Yeah.
I don't understand the value. I think I can see a world in which he's as good as a shooter than Hawkins and Grady Dick. And the line of thinking
he's got
is
to be incredible in order for this to work out. And maybe he is. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong. And like being 6'8" and being able to shoot it is going to be enough. That could be the case. But all the other stuff and just the fact that Michigan was at its worst whenever they showcased him makes me think otherwise.
Yeah, it's a weird pick again with Grady Dick there. It's really weird. I really don't understand it, but hey, sometimes this is also why we love the draft, and because there is a team that doesn't care about the consensus, the other team's agenda, and just draft the guy who think it's best. So I'm really curious to see how this goes for Jett Howard.
Me too. And I don't know. Orlando's done a pretty good job drafting recently. So
yeah,
I give them the benefit of the doubt on that one as well. What do you think about the trade overall? Let's talk a little bit about the trade up, acquiring Bertans. I mean, it's obviously something we talked about a lot on the podcast. And I think it's interesting because the Thunder walk out of draft night with a tough-minded defensive two-way guard and a 6'10" shooter. And if you said like, hey, that's what the Thunder are going to walk away with on draft night, you'd be feeling pretty good.
Yeah. I would probably bet that they got Varian Rupert and a shooter in the top 10. If you told me that without knowing the names.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with Cason being the pick there and not. I mean, Coulibaly was obviously not an option for the Thunder anyways because he was selected so high, but he was somebody that I would have felt a little nervous about just because I just am not super confident that they're going to have the minutes available to develop.
Yeah, this is something.
Like that.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you're trying, like, they're still going to be developing Oos next year. Like, can you develop? And by the way, like, they're developing Shea, Giddey, Dort, Chet. All those guys still are developing. Like, those are still J-Dub. Those are still young developing players, by the way.
Yeah.
You're developing those guys. They're still developing Poku. They're still developing Jang. They're still developing a lot of guys on this roster. And can you throw in a project that might be even longer term than those guys onto the roster and have an advocate on the coaching staff that says like, hey, I'm just like the Koulibaly guy. Like, I just don't know. I'm just not for sure that that's going to be that would have been something that they could have absorbed. Now maybe if he was available at 10, they would have taken him anyways. I don't know. But my guess is that it's tough for a project like that. And I think he went to the exact right spot where it's like you go to Washington and boy, they just don't have a lot going on there and they can play him 25 minutes a night and no one cares and no one's even going to watch. It's almost like Poku during like the bubble year where it was like, hey, Poku's here, but no one can watch him and let's just see what happens. I think it's going to be the same with Bilal. So I think it's a great place for him to go. Was there anybody else that was on the board at 10 that you're like, oh man, because like both Hendricks and Walker were gone. I know that those were guys that Thunder fans really wanted. My guy Anthony Black was gone. The Thompson twins were gone. Like I wouldn't have wanted Lively. I like Cason better than Grady or Hawkins. Buffkin was like the only guy. Like obviously everybody knows that.
To me, those
honestly,
four
like
guys.
Buffkin and Cason are kind of similar in that they both don't have a lot of holes in their game. So honestly, I'd be happy with either one of those guys.
Yeah, you can say that one is a slightly better or maybe a bit better offensive player. The other one is surely the better defender. But they are both like complete guards that may slide into. And I think that for Cason is is going to be easier because this is something that he was already doing at Kentucky, like doing a lot of plays where he leaves the ball, relocates, takes an end off, stuff like that. So I really think that this is something where he can work as an offensive off-ball guy from day one. Grady and Hawkins were guys that I think could have worked to a high level in OKC. Maybe Grady better than Hawkins just due to the size advantage. I think that the same way you can say, okay, Wallace allows me to play him and not sacrificing anybody, Grady gets close to the same. If you have questions about can he stay on the court in crucial moments, I think these are right questions to have in your mind. I think that the offense was good enough to take a flyer, but I think that Cason has a very good case to be a guy that eventually you can close with, which is important. Back to the Bertans trade. So if I understood it correctly, OKC had to spend roughly between 6 and 7 million anyway to be at the floor level. So
had to get to the floor. Would have had to do it in some way. Yeah.
So you're talking about investing roughly 10 millions on a guy that brings shooting and is on a deal where if everything goes badly, you pay him 10 millions this year and 5 millions the next year, which is not nothing, but it's basically taking in 15 millions to have a trade chip, which is part of what I'm going to say a little bit ahead, and to just be sure that you can draft the guy that you want, which is, I think, better value than what OKC did last year for Jang, for example. I don't think that 15 millions are worth a first rounder. So, or maybe like a late one. So it's basically if OKC traded a top 25 protected 2024 plus 12 to move up to 10. Rich? Maybe. But again, it's really not conclusive for this year. So it's not an issue. On top, I think there is upside on the Bertans signing. If it's terrible, okay, we already know.
Yeah, it's like it's a big whatever. We have a lot of guys we can play at that spot anyways.
Exactly. And it doesn't mess up too much the cap sheet for next year. If he's okay to reasonably good, which on a team like OKC, who made Muscala look like a guy where you spent 2 second rounder for, it's going to be interesting. because we know that a tall shooter, even if he doesn't provide any defense, work with Shea. And if you think about the lineup with, I don't know, Shea, Cason, J-Dub, Kenrich, and Bertans, like, this is a lineup that will space the court and be productive offensively, with like 4 defenders plus Bertans. This is something that will work. And if he hits 40% of his threes, then either at the deadline or next year, you're in position to complete a big trade. I don't think that this year in 2023 is where Presti pulls the trigger. In 2024, we'll see. This is not, I would say that there is a decent chance that you can package Bertans plus Filler, maybe Dort, but I'm not sure if Dort will be the guy that you trade next year, because we really have to see how he plays this year. But you have at least 16 millions where you can add like maybe a few other contracts and you get to 25, 28.
Mm-hmm.
And there you are in superstar range. So I really think that next year is the year where you can package 4 or 5 first rounders, a little bit of salary, and then go shopping if this is something that you want to do without having to necessarily trading one of your top 5 guys, which is not a small thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to take the roster being ready for that, though. Like, I don't think...
sure.
I think this team is going to have to signal to the front office, like, hey, we're actually ready to go.
What is signaling to you? Define signal.
50 games.
Okay. I don't think that this is out of the question necessarily. I don't think it's likely.
Yeah, I think they have to win 50 games. And then once they do that, then it's like, okay, all right, we can do that.
What if they don't win 50 games, but they go to game 7 against a very good team? Like a very good team, very good playoff run.
In round 1?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like a very good series. Like one where you compete toe and toe with the team who wins the title. And it's like a coin flip.
Maybe.
Come on. If it's 48 plus a great first rounder, or it's 50 and like a sweep better. Come on.
Yeah. No. I mean, I didn't know that you were assuming they win 48. 48 wins. I think 48 wins in the West next year would be equivalent.
It's going to be tough.
Would be equivalent to like 54 in like a regular year in the West. I think next year is going to be outrageously competitive in the Western Conference next year. It's going to be so tough. I mean, there's not a team outside of San Antonio that I would say is for sure going to be in the lottery, or at least wants to be in the lottery. Or I think the Spurs would probably like to be in the lottery again. Houston wants to be done with the lottery. I don't think they are done. I think they want to be done. Utah just made a trade today to get John Collins, where they basically traded no rotation players in the second rounder to get him.
That is a weird trade.
Yeah.
What is this? Well, go on. We'll talk about it later.
I'm just saying, like, Utah was one of the teams that I kind of had in pencil as like, okay, this team is probably going to be in the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
But they clearly don't want to be. You don't trade for John Collins and his massive contract with the intent of being back in like try to get a high pick. They got 9th this year.
I would bet money that Portland will be there. And kind of wants to be there.
Portland is definitely one that could pivot hard. And Dame is meeting with the Portland officials today to discuss the future. And hey, I just want you to everybody listen up. I am meeting with the officials here at Portland, everybody. Hey, Chris, would you please tweet about me meeting with the officials here so that later I can declare my loyalty to them? I don't know. I'm just sick of the Dame stuff. I know people really like Dame. It's great. It's awesome. It's just getting super annoying to me. Just like, pick a side, Dame. If you want to stay, great. You don't have to it doesn't have to be public that he's meeting with all these people. He wants it to be. Anyways, the West is going to be tough. So yeah, like 48 wins might be a good enough signal. Maybe
Okay.
if they're top 10 defensively and near the top half offensively in the league, and they win 48 games, that might be enough.
And again, the best move in 2024 might still be, hey, let's roll another year because we're good. We don't have many holes. We have very young players. Let's just organically move on. And then, because in total honesty, if you win 48 games next year, it either means that organically most of the guys got better and Chet is very good, or that someone else besides Shea went into super duper stardom. If the first thing happens, then I think that you will likely see, okay, let's make another try, another free run. If the second, like if the latter happens, so you have two super duper stars and you start to see like guys not making a step ahead or just being compressed into a role player when you know that this will not work in the long run, then you may try to go ahead and start thinking how to manage the situation. Because I mean, but again, it's too early. But getting into the position, which is the only relevant matter today, it's not what to do with Bertans today. We can't know that. We can have many ideas, but the point is, you can get a good player in return without sacrificing the core guys because you have that contract in your books. Whether you do it or not depends on so many things that it's impossible for us to project right now. But it is extremely important for me to know that Presti can like have this guy, put him in a trade as early as in February 2024, and not sacrificing Dort, J-Dub, Giddy, and Shea and Chet.
Yeah, I think they're going to have options, especially with the amount of draft picks that they have. I think draft picks are going to get more valuable. I also think like this Bertans deal is going to have some value at the trade deadline just because it's only partially guaranteed for next year.
Yeah.
If he plays less than 75% of his games, which like book it, whatever you want to say, that's done. Like consider that done. They're not playing Bertans more than 75%. He's going to play less. He's going to be $5 million guaranteed next year. That's going to be a valuable trade chip at the trade deadline. Whether that's to get a pick back or maybe you take on somebody that's got an extra year and you get a pick. Something like that's probably going to happen, would be my guess, is that they're going to flip that asset again. And maybe you get 2 seconds like they did with Mike. And man, that's wild that you basically got to move up 2 draft slots by taking him. And then you get 2 picks for dealing him. I think that that's possible. I do think that there's value there. And I think he'll play. I think there'll be lineups where it's Shea, Giddy, Isaiah Joe, Bertans, Chet. And
wow,
you have Giddy or Shea initiating the offense. And it's like, hey, who are you going to cover? Because now we have 240+% three-point shooters out there with Chet. You put Giddy and Chet in a pick and roll with Shea playing decoy.
Like you're going to Bertans just being, I don't know, 5 feet out from the 3-point line and just waiting for a bomb.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he loves to bomb deep threes too.
Yeah,
and like you're gonna have something there. James Anderson says J-Dub is better than Giddy. Put him in there. He's not better than Giddy, but like you can put him in there. And
let's not get ahead of ourselves. I know that J-Dub has played a very promising rookie season on a team that mattered in the NBA, which is insane. But and we also know that he fits perfectly alongside Shea because he can shoot, because he showed that he can be a 20-point per game guy when Shea sits. Awesome. But please, let's not forget that Giddy is a full year younger, maybe 2, I don't know. I'm sure 1 at least, maybe 1 and change. Who cares? At least 1. He is incredible at basketball. And he was actually conducive to winning basketball this year after a very rough start of the season.
Yeah.
Giddey is awesome. And he can, with spacing around, he can do so many things. Because it is very easy to guard Giddey when you have a cramped offense and you don't have space. If you give him space and you have to make choices, he will beat you. So I'm not ready to say that Giddey is the second, third, fourth best player on the team. We have to see it because he's super duper young and he's putting up incredible numbers on teams that matter. Like Shea in year 2 was not putting up these numbers. Yes, it was more efficient, but he was not putting up these numbers. Mm-hmm. So please, let's pause altogether. I'm not saying that Giddey is likely to be an All-NBA guy in 2 years. But the future of Giddey is not yet written. And I don't want to put a cap on a guy that can go putting up a show in a playing game, 30 plus whatever he made that night. And he looked like the best player on the court. I just don't want to put any cap on him.
Well, I mean, the good news is like Thunder have both of them. So
yeah, exactly. We don't have to pick right now.
It's also not a competition between the two of them, you know. So, okay, yeah, I think Bertans, like to tie a bow on that. Bertans, I think he's very likely to stay. He's very likely to play on the team, and I think that he will. There will be games where he helps. Like he'll take 9 threes in a game, like no problem.
Yeah.
He's the Latvian laser. Like he's ready to go. I think Mark will use him well. I think he will have some moments on this team, and it's a great way to. I mean, if the Thunder just went out and used their cap space on a 6'10" lights out shooter, I think everybody would be really excited about that.
Yeah.
And so they just acquired him just to get the guy that they wanted. Now, there's not like a lot of rumors about like, oh, this team like definitely was going to go get, you know, Cason, and that was going to be it. You know, we don't really know, but all it did was guarantee the Thunder to get the guy they wanted at 10, and you bring in a 6'10" shooter. So it's a pretty good outcome for the Thunder, and a tradable contract where it wasn't valuable to Dallas because Dallas needed to get the full mid-level.
Yeah.
And they needed to shed money so they could get the full mid-level so they could go get one more player to join this team. And that's
they can use the TPE right now.
Yes.
So
and they have the giant TPE. That's why that happened. And so like that's the difference between OKC and Dallas. OKC needed to spend the money and Dallas needed to shed the money. And like that's why this happened. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Vasily Micic and the possibility of him playing in the NBA. We'll be right back. And we're back after that quick break. So our good friend Christos Saltas, who if there's one thing that I miss about the Zooms for the NBA, and that's just Christos like being on every Zoom call for every NBA team every night, and him asking, he would always ask whether the win or the loss helped the team take a step forward or a step back. Like that was always his like go-to question. But
nice,
he's reporting that Micic actually does want to come to the NBA, and that essentially the Thunder probably just going to have to trade him. So
yeah.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. I mean, they don't have to.
Okay.
They don't have to, but they probably will. I mean, where are the minutes going to be? Where are the minutes going to be for Micic if they bring him over?
Why? Why do you have to trade him?
You don't have to. You can let him go back to Europe.
Exactly. Like, to me, it's nonsensical for OKC to just say, like, let's take away the agency point of view here, because I think that if you want to be good with Wasserman and you think this is a value proposition for you, great. But let's forget about the agency angle for one moment. which might be the most important one, by the way. But let's forget about that for a second. OKC doesn't have any like incentive to trade Micic away. Like if he doesn't want to stay in OKC, which okay, he may not have a guarantee spot on the starting unit. Like he doesn't, and he's not even guaranteed minutes with Cason being here right now. So I think that it's important to recognize that OKC has all the leverage here.
Mhm.
They decide where he can go. They decide if he can go. And so I really think that if there are multiple teams that want to get Micic, they should like expose that and get the best value. And maybe saying, okay, no, maybe we'll see next year. Again, I don't think that will happen, but mainly because of the agency, because I don't think that they want to just take it too far just to lure a late first rounder compared to an early second.
Yeah. So when you think about a possible trade, what teams hit your brain?
The teams that have the goods I want are not the teams that we can actually trade with. The Lakers is a good team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Micic for the Lakers makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Especially if
they
you can't re-sign Austin Reeves.
But even if they do, like they are really short on nice ball handlers with size.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really think that is
Definitely.
that is something good. Remind me, because it's slipping my head right now. They did pick someone in the second round that is mildly interesting, which I don't remember.
Who was
They
that?
they have it in picks probably still on that app.
Yeah. Let's see. No, that pick was traded to the Pacers. Oh, they got Max Lewis. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the low end of the spectrum. I would target Leonard Miller. To me, like, there's no way that Denver trades. Oh wow, I'm really the Gonzaga guy. I'm sorry. To me, there's no way starter.
Mm-hmm.
But someone in the second round is I would be okay with. Even a project like even Rupert. If you get Rupert as a second round guy, where you can just leave it in the G League or somewhere else for Micic, and then you basically say, okay, we'll see you in 2-3 seasons.
What about Andre Jackson and the Bucks?
Yeah,
like if Milwaukee's another one that's like he would do well there.
Yeah,
and they could use another ball handler too that can shoot. And so, can you just straight up swap the rights to both players?
I think you can. Before they are traded, they are signed to a contract. I think you can.
Yeah,
I think it's the
that's a clean way to do it.
Mhm.
And Andre Jackson he's probably like the evolved version of Robertson in a lot of ways, in that he is not a shooter, but I think he's a better ball handler and passer than Andre was. But like defensive menace, played several years at UConn. I think he's an interesting one, certainly. I kind of am interested in Max Lewis as an offensive guy. Repair to the Blazers, like you flip him to the Blazers if the Blazers are still trying to win games, like that probably helps them quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that is some place that Micic qualifies as a competitive. I mean, I don't think that the Blazers will have a better record than OKC at the end of the season, no matter what they want to do.
Agreed. What about to the Kings for Colby Jones?
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Again, I think that OKC should target like a project with that pick, someone that you can really put in the G League system and just don't have on your radar before it's next year or the year afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, the ones that like stick out most are Rupert and Sissoko.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't see Sissoko being traded away from the Spurs.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. I don't know if at the end of the day that he would just sign with OKC.
Oh, me neither. If that happens, then it's crunch. Yeah, you need to. It's roster crunch time.
Is there a player that you would attach his rights to trade to another team, just to give somebody else on the Thunder like an opportunity, like Lindy or Trey or somebody like that? Gary.
Well, let's put this from another angle. I don't feel sure that Trey Mann, Lindy Waters, Jerry, Aaron Wiggins are guaranteed a spot on the roster next season.
Yeah. What are other
teams? Like same goes with Sharge.
Yeah. I think Denver's a team that if they lose Bruce Brown, like they're going to need more rotation players that are ready to play. I think that could be a team too, where maybe he's not necessarily playing a ton of minutes for the Nuggets, but he's somebody that comes in and like plays a key role for like a very competitive team.
Like, what's the trade there? Christian Brown?
No, if you're not getting Christian Brown for him,
no.
You could get like, why couldn't you get Peyton Watson? Like, why couldn't you flip Trey Mann and the rights to Micic for Peyton Watson?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they do that?
Yeah, I mean these are nice trades. Or again, maybe you get Strother just for Micic.
Strother would be great. Yeah, that
it's a little bit rich to me.
And for what?
For Micic, like I don't think that Denver would do it.
I mean, Peyton Watson's not like some killer.
No, Peyton Watson. Yes, I'm not sure about Strother this year.
Oh yeah, Strother. Yeah. I mean, they may not want to.
Yeah. He projects like a guy that has size, can shoot the basketball, and can defend. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's not like a great ball handler, but they don't need him to be.
Mm-hmm. Phoenix is another interesting one that like they just need somebody, and they've traded all of their stuff. Like they just traded.
That's the problem. Like, would you do it for Darius Baisley?
Sign and trade?
Yeah.
Baisley?
So that you can hard cap yourself.
Double sign and trade? Yeah, I don't see it.
No. The Clippers as well. I mean, they don't have much to trade for. Maybe a couple of seconds, but that is, again, on the low end. Of
you a BJ Boston fan?
Not a BJ Boston fan.
Yeah, me neither. You a Amir Coffee fan?
Ew, no.
Okay. All right. I'm just exploring these rosters.
What about the Hawks? Sorry.
No, they got Buffkin. They got the Buffkin boys.
What about the Jazz?
What about the Jazz?
Jazz are interesting.
They kind of need another guard.
Yes.
But do they?
They may use him.
Is he for sure playing over? I guess, do we know if Clarkson's not going to pick up his player option, but I think he's going to go back to Utah. The Jazz owner loves him. I don't know. I'm out on the idea of Utah.
Yeah, but stick there for a second.
All right. I'm sticking.
What about lowering a bit the protection on 2024?
Just give him the rights and say, hey, make it top 7 protected.
Top 6 protected. Come on.
6 protected.
Yes. Would you do it?
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I would totally do that. Wouldn't you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be a good pick.
Yeah, it might be.
Like they might be pick number 9.
Yeah. Yeah.
They might be in the same spot they are right now.
Definitely. Yeah, that's one that I think is interesting.
West on the chat says Jazz just got John Collins too.
Yeah.
Yes. This is why you trade for that pick or you lower the protection on the pick. This is exactly why you do it.
Yeah, totally. Miami Is there anything interesting on Miami? They've already done their like Duncan Robinson-esque trade where they've got the Lapian Laser instead.
Mm.
I don't know. Like, if they can't re-sign Gabe Vincent, like I'd be interested if I'm Miami in something like that. But
Yeah,
nothing.
they
too
have stuff in the
exciting.
future they can trade for, but I'm not sure they will. I'm sure that they can get to a couple of second rounders if they want to.
Yeah. Kings. Is there anything interesting on the Kings?
He will fit perfectly on the Kings. I think.
I know. He'd be really fun. I'm actually kind of a big Keon Ellis guy. I think he can play.
Okay.
But he's definitely like a back of the roster guy.
It's weird that you have these fascinations. Like, okay, you can play him, sure. We are saying that we don't need, like, I don't know. To me, it's about getting assets, not players at this point. I don't think that OKC would do that.
I agree with that. I think if you could get, and like, here's the deal.
That pick is great.
I know we're
2024
so
round
excited.
2 via Dallas.
I know we're so excited about Micic and the idea of him. I am not uber confident that he's going to come in and just be an awesome player in the league.
Define awesome. I think he will be a better version of Thomas Satoransky.
Sure.
But that is a top 7, 8 guy.
Yeah, he's like your 8th guy in your rotation. Like he's not
for a good team. Like Satoransky was the 8th guy on a bad team. I think that Micic has potential to be top 7 guy on the playoff team. Top 8 guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it worth like 2 second rounders? I mean, Muscala was paid.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
in
if you got
Boston.
2 seconds, that's kind of what my point was, is that I just would not expect a huge return for Micic if you are a Thunder fan. Like, I just would not expect a first rounder. I would not expect like a really good player. If you want to get a good player in return, you got to attach other things, I think, to make that happen. But I wouldn't expect that either. If it is at the end of the day just a straight up swap for like a unprotected second round pick, like I would not be surprised if that's the case. If they can get more than that, like Presti has done something pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So
he, like, on the high end of the outcomes, due to his shooting and playmaking, he can be like a top 6 guy.
Yeah.
On a team. And if that happens, I would be a little bit tense in letting him go. But anyway, if he doesn't want to play in OKC, I don't think that there is any point in forcing a guy to play for this team. I mean, at this moment, you have a group of guys that want to play together for each other. This is extremely important. This is more important than getting an extra first rounder. If you need to have guys that are in with 2 feet and just wanting to play this way.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that Micic can do that. He's a proven player. He may want to do things his way. I'm sure that he will respect LeBron, Anthony Davis, and he will fit perfectly as the 6th guy, even not starting for the Lakers. Doing that with a team that didn't win anything, where you are like a European champion, you are like a guy who played in the Olympics, in the World Championship, win EuroLeagues, win MVP EuroLeague. It's tough to watch Gideon and say, okay, I'm better than you. Just give him the ball. So I'm not saying that Micic is that. I don't know him personally, but he's a guy with character. He's a guy that can lead a team. So that aspect of the story is extremely important as his talent, what you can get in return and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. That's very true. I would just be surprised at the end of the day if he agrees to a contract with the Thunder and he plays here. I think that they could open up spot for him, it would basically just mean like, hey, Trey Man, Aaron Wiggins, like you guys are like done. You guys want to play for the Blue? Like, what do you guys want to do? You know, like you're not going to play minutes because I don't think you can add Cason. Oh my gosh, help me. Cason and Micic, and then like want to develop Shea, Giddey, Dort, J-Dub too. I don't think you can do all of that at once and find minutes for Trey. And I just don't. I just think that it's juggling too much. I think you would just say like, hey, yeah, we'll bring you in, but you're gonna play. You know, you're gonna play over these guys, and everybody else is gonna have to be okay with it. And then also the fact is like, how long do you think Micic will even play in the NBA? Even Isaiah Joe, like, it's a good point by James. Like James Anderson in the chat, he probably cuts into Isaiah Joe's minutes too,
which is completely fine. And I also like the point of, well, I don't agree with the point that West made about Teodosic. Milos West says, I don't think he will fit in the NBA for some reason, just like the hype with Teodosic a few years back. Milos is a player that is fun as hell to watch, but he is a wizard that all the time loses control of his powers. He's just a madman. And on top, he doesn't play on the defensive half.
Yeah.
There is one of the greatest pod that Nate Duncan did was with a player that formerly played for the CSKA Moscow with Milos. And he was telling that on defense, it was, oh, sorry, my bad. It was my guy. Oh, sorry again. Sorry. I will get it right next time. So it's all like that. And in the NBA, it was exactly that. Like Milos is a sieve defensively. Vasilij Micic is not that guy. He's a guy who competes on both ends. He has a different body. He's more athletic. And so I don't think that he will have the same problems that Milos had. He basically took a vacation with the Clippers, a very well-paid vacation with the Clippers. So again, I don't feel that Milos was ready to lead a team in the NBA. Vasilij Micic is different. Is he a starter? I don't know. Is he better than Teodosic? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is going to be very interesting to see how he performs in the NBA. I think he comes in like we said, like probably top 8 rotation guy. Will make some shots, can make some plays. He can do that for sure. So, but should we have huge expectations from him? No. If they do make a trade, should we have huge expectations? No. If it's just a second round pick, that's certainly possible. Okay, let's see what else. We haven't talked about Keontae Johnson at all. Tony Diaz in the chat says, any feel for what Keontae Johnson's future looks like with the Thunder? I mean, I think he's going to sign a 2-way contract. That was confirmed by Sam Presti on Saturday. So that's happening. And I think he'll play for the Blue. And I think that we'll see. You know, I mean, if he shoots the lights out with the Blue and is a defensive menace and like, yeah, those guys play in the NBA. They do.
Yeah.
But he's got to do it at a high level. He's got to shoot it consistently. And we just don't know if he can do it, if he can do that for sure. And so he's going to get a chance. I mean, look at all the 2-way guys the Thunder have brought in. One thing we know for sure is that 2-way guys in OKC get a shot. And so he will get the same chance that everybody else has.
Well, same. He will get a chance. I'm not sure that he will get the same time that other guys had.
Oh yeah, I mean the time total is squeezed more. It's going to get more squeezed as time goes on, but they're going to quote unquote be exploring the roster for another season.
Yeah.
And he will be part of that. Do I have any predictions? I don't. I mean, he's pick 50. He's got a great story. There's no doubt about that. Like the dude has been through it and he's battled. And I hope that he makes it, but I'm not putting a ton of stock into it. But a guy
It will
that's
be harder to make it for OKC in the next 5 years. I mean,
Yeah.
he again, as we said, he will have opportunities. How many? For how long? Where? It's important. Like he can't be a good G League player. He has to be an exceptional G League player.
Yeah, true.
He need to impress, because next year the top 9 guys for OKC, there'll be guys that go after it. There is no time. So I'm sure there will be a night where Isaiah Joe is not ready to go. Trey Mann is not ready, and say, okay, Keontae, your turn. Let's go. You can play 15 tonight.
Mhm.
This will happen, I'm sure. Well, I'm positive, not sure. But he needs to be exceptional in the G League to get that chance. Otherwise, it's, hey, let's experiment and put Poku and Jang with Chet together on the court and see what happens. Because those things will happen. Like, you just experiment with the roster. Let's play Bertans at the 2. He can't defend anyway, so let's put all shooting out there when Joe is not there. So I really think that he has a chance for sure, like everybody, but he needs to be exceptional because it will be tougher for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It's just 1,000% true. It's going to be tough, but he's going to have a chance. He'll have a chance.
Yeah, and it's a good profile to have a chance with OKC.
Yeah.
Like 6'5", bulky, can finish at the rim, can shoot the basketball. Not a great passer, but can make a few read. Good defender, not exceptional. Doesn't have elite bounce, but he can really shoot it. If he starts with the G League and hoists 10 threes per game and hits 45% of his threes, you can be sure that Presti will give him a chance with the grown-ups, because these contracts are extremely valuable. If you can get him for 4 years at the league minimum, maybe with a team option, player option, whatever, the Isaiah Joe special, these are great deals to have. Like, it's again, in 2 years, there is a world where you can't afford Isaiah Joe, and you need to find a replacement. If Keontae is there and he is a shooter, great, it's your turn.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Any leftover NBA draft thoughts? We hadn't really dug into that yet. We should probably do that on the OKC Dream Team show together. But
yeah.
Anything quickly before we go that was surprising or
The pick I loved the most was probably, well, it's not something that was necessarily Portland's doing, but the fact that they got Scoot is a blessing.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really curious to just know what happened to Cam Whitmore, because I didn't like him. I thought he wasn't a Thunder guy. I thought, and it was true, and we said it, that even if he was there at 12, OKC would not have sniffed him, which happened, even if we were very, very confused about how much he slid. A pick that I didn't like, Chet Howard at 11. I didn't like that. And I'm still a little bit curious about Buffkin sliding past New Orleans. I know that New Orleans have ball handlers, but like Dyson Daniels can play alongside a guy like Buffkin. I know that you have CJ, but this to me was a good opportunity. Whereas with Hawkins, you already have plenty of shooters.
Yeah.
And I thought that Buffkin could have been a good choice there.
Yeah. Raptors too. I was a little surprised the Raptors went with Grady Dick instead of Buffkin. But
it depends on what they do in free agency. Like having a guy like Grady Dick with all the non-shooting, I think that it will make Scotty Barnes' life easier. And if you can get a better version of Scotty Barnes because he has more space, then I'm not sure I'm all in, but I can understand the pick.
Yeah. I mean,
surround Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam with shooting, and you will have a good team.
yeah. It's kind of like similar to like the Thunder, where it's like, yeah, of course, like adding a shooter will help you.
Yeah. And they have very good defensive players already in place.
They do. This is true. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, besides that, I'm not sure that there were any like crazy surprises. Like Jed Howard was definitely like one of the biggest ones. Where it was like, oh, he and Koulibaly were like the two that was just really shocking. I did think it was cool. A lot of people pointed this out, that the Thompson twins went back to back. Like, that's cool. That's cool for them. They were inseparable, I guess, on the red carpet, and I kind of thought they would maybe want to be separate and be interviewed separately and treated as individuals, but like, no, like they were like attached at the hip the whole night. So it made it even cooler that they went back to back. I thought that was great. I
like Osar for Detroit, to be honest.
I'm more meh on that fit.
Really?
He's got to shoot it. Like, he's got to shoot it. And you're one that doesn't really believe in their shooting.
No, I am. But I believe in the fact that if you have Ivy and Cade, and you have a uber athletic forward that can do multiple things with the ball and maybe shoot it, and if you shoot it, you have a great trio.
Oh yeah, if he shoots it, then we have got no issues whatsoever. But
if he doesn't, then you just need to get a spacing big, which is something that you can find.
Well, but they've stocked up on guys that are bigs that don't space.
Who cares about Isaiah Stewart and Marvin Bagley?
I'm talking about like Duran.
Duran, okay. If you have Duran, Osar, Cade, Ivy, and a legit forward that can shoot the basketball, you will be okay. Even if Osar is not a shooter.
Yeah, I worry a little bit about it. I did like.
Is it ideal? No. What are the other options?
Yeah, it's a good point, because like if it's Jarris, it's like same problems.
Same deal.
Black, same problems. If it's Koulibaly, same problems.
Yeah. To me, the upside was there with Osar. So
I do think it's really interesting that like all of the big playmakers went quick.
Yeah.
That like all the big playmakers were gone by pick 6. And then like if you want to include Jarris, they were all gone by pick 8.
Yeah.
People are catching up on that. Like, the big playmakers are the ones that can help you progress. And the Thunder were in on that early. And it was good that they did, because they had pick 6 in a draft and they had pick 12 in another draft, and were able to get those big playmakers anyways. If this were a year later, I'm not for sure that J-Dub would have been there. I think J-Dub could have made the Koulibaly rise into like the top, 7 or 8, where it's like, oh, this is a big playmaker that can shoot. He can do all these things. Even Jang may have gone higher just because of his ability to play make and be the mystery box player that he is. So I thought that was interesting. I will say that like all these dudes, I got to talk to all of them from Wemby all the way down through the lottery players. They were all just mostly pretty great guys to talk to.
Awesome.
And like weren't rude and didn't think like any request was like ridiculous. And yeah, I think the league is in a good place for a lot of reasons. And one of them is that like I think people are picking up on that. Like, you need to have like the character portion of that, of your package like checked off. Like, you got to have pretty good character. And I think mostly because I've worked on it. Brandon Miller, I think I said this on Slam and Jam, was like the most beloved guy on the red carpet.
I saw that. I saw multiple videos on The Athletic about who's the most famous number.
They all kind of looked up to him a little bit, interestingly enough. And was somebody that was really popular, even amongst like other guys. Like, we had the 2 guys that said that Brandon was their most famous person in their phone. But he's just
Nick Smith and
Who's the other
The guy from Barcelona, I think.
I'm just blanking. But he was we talked to him too. He's extremely likable, like a very, very nice, likable person. So I could see why he would do really well in interviews. For sure.
Was it James Nagy?
No.
Then I don't remember who that was.
Nagy was not on the red carpet.
Okay.
I should remember I was standing right there. Anyways, it was a great time at the draft. Loved it. It was great fun. So more videos coming for that early this week, where I did some trivia competitions with fans, and whoever lost had to do push-ups. That was really fun. I got really strong on my trip to Brooklyn with the amount of push-ups I had to do.
Before we go,
Mm-hmm.
I need to ask you a very personal question live.
Okay.
How much gain Cason Wallace had in your mind when he answered correctly your serial question? Like he went from, I don't know, a 7 to a 25 on a scale of 1 to 10, or
yeah, he answered that question correctly.
did you expect that?
I didn't know what I go into it with no expectations. I burn my assumptions when it comes to serial questions with these guys. No, it was the right.
Do you think he prepared for that?
Yeah, I'm sure he listened to so much Down to Dunk in preparation for the draft. No, he didn't know. He didn't have any idea. He was really, really nice and really seemed to be a little nervous that night and seemed to be pretty overwhelmed, but handled himself really well and answered the serial question well. 50 out of 10 for Cason. Cason, gosh, help me. Eventually it's going to feel natural, but it doesn't feel natural yet. Cason Wallace. Okay.
Cason.
We'll talk more. We can talk more leftover draft thoughts later. We'll probably be doing that on the OKC Dream Team show anyways. So be sure that you subscribe to that. We will have more podcasts for you this week. Back with Alex Wednesday, Friday.
It was Noah Clowney, by the way.
Noah Clowney. Okay. Yeah. That's what I kind of thought. Noah was awesome. I really like that guy. He's like, well, to be honest, I don't really even have that many people on my phone. He's like, I don't even talk to that many people. He was great. All right. Be sure to subscribe to The Athletic. Go listen to The Athletic NBA show. This week, we're going to have lots of really fun free agency previews. We're planning a free agency preview show with Sam Amick and Fred Katz and Anthony Slater tomorrow. That should be really juicy, really good. And we're hopeful to get some kind of general manager or former general manager, not Sam Presti, by the way. Just I'm not trying to hint at that, to come on the pod this week too. So be sure that you're listening and subscribe to the Athletic NBA show. I hope you guys are having a great Monday, and we'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.